Welcome back to Advisor Marketing Explained, where today we are going to dive into the art and science of maximizing your referability as an advisor. We'll explore how practice management and marketing intersect to enhance your referral potential. I am your host, Alex Lerch, and joining us today is Duncan MacPherson, the founder of Pareto Systems, a leading practice management firm for financial advisors, as well as Seth Diener, the founder and private wealth manager at Diener Money Management, who has implemented both the Pareto system and OpenStone marketing tactics into his practice. Duncan's years of expertise in practice management and marketing has made him a sought-after speaker on the topic worldwide. He's also an industry best-selling author with books like The Advisor Playbook and the recently released Blue Square Method, which I highly recommend if you want to dig deeper in today's topics. I have seen firsthand the incredible impact Pareto has had for many of the advisors we work with, and I'm excited to dive into some of those actionable tips today. Duncan, Seth, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alex. Great job. And I just want to say right up front, you guys are the embodiment of the advisor of the future. You understand as well as or better than most that you're not just managing money, you're managing a business and you're managing people, and you place so much importance on practice management and relationship management. And that's obviously a validation as to why your business is tracking the way it is. So thanks for being here, and just thanks for taking this seriously.
Thank you, Duncan. Appreciate it. So I want to get into a few things with you, Duncan, Seth. Feel free to elaborate a little bit from the advisor's perspective as we talk about this. Our key topic today is revolving around generating referrals and referability. And I want to dive into the psychology of this a little bit of the theory of being referable, how to get referrals, but there's things you need to do at the onset to make yourself referable. Now, really what we're doing today is we're meshing a little bit of conversation about marketing, but then also practice management. So I want to start by, let's talk about how does practice management and marketing complement each other in the context of maximizing a financial advisor's referability.
Well, Seth, I'd like your perspective first, and I'll just chime in.
Yeah. So, from a standpoint of maximizing the advisor's experience, we feel like that, a lot of the times you don't want to be your own best kept secret, right? And oftentimes, at least the old school way that I used to do things is that the only time your clients really got a flavor for who you are and what you do was that 1 hour meeting that you had in your office every year, or, when you had the time to be able to call them and talk to them for 30 minutes here and there. So you think about when the whole year goes by, right? And you get to touch and talk to and have your clients get a feel for who you are and what you stand for and what you do. And you only allot yourself an hour and a half every year to make that impression upon them. What marketing allows us to do is fill those gaps in between those hour-long meetings once a year. How do your clients get a flavor for who you are, your people, and your process? And marketing allows us to do that.
That's a great point. Just basically having a sequential, incremental client experience that triggers moments of recognition and appreciation for your value will coincide with a referable stage of readiness, where a client is in a position, a referable moment with a friend or a family member. The more fresh you are in their psyche and mindset, the more compelled they will be. Alex, I want to come back because you made a very, very subtle distinction, because there's two drivers to the concept of referability. Like you said, there's be referable and then communicate the concept of an introduction. Now, the communication piece, that's really important. And, everybody listening in today, I'm sure, is well aware of the importance of stewardship, not salesmanship, not pitching it as a favor you're asking of a client or a strategic partner, but positioning it as a service you're providing for a client. Because again, it's not what you say, it's what they hear. But I think the issue that's probably the most overlooked is just the foundation of being referable. Now, just phonetically, think about the word referable, able. Okay, I believe the foundation of referability comes down to three things: be dependable, be predictable, and be admirable. And I really want your comments on this, but being dependable is just your code of conduct, your decorum as a professional. It's how you roll. You're a needs-based professional. You respond to people's needs. Clients envision that there's a red phone under a glass jar sitting on everyone's desk. And when that phone rings, the world stops, you guys pounce. That's dependability. And there was a time that was enough. Now it's a minimum requirement to keep building on. Then there's be predictable. And that, among other things, just means be consistent. And this has nothing to do with consistency in performance. It's consistency in how you conduct yourself. There's no mystery. People crave consistency. And everybody has to understand that, like, if I'm your client, it's easy for me to refer a friend to you. It's just easier not to. It's easier for me not to get involved. Like, for me to refer someone to a bottle of wine or to a movie or even a car, like, escalates in the magnitude of the decision. That's one thing. You want me to refer my best friend who just sold his business and he's freaked out and overwhelmed? I might not want to get involved with that.
Yeah.
But the moment I know with absolute clarity how it's going to reflect on me when I introduce my friend to you, that predictability where I can actually describe it with conviction and clarity, that's powerful. So be dependable, be predictable, and then lastly, be admirable. And among other things, this is just your likability. This is your social IQ. This is just your ability to not just be needs-based and goals-based, but values-based. You just, like a magnet, you attract the right people who have the same worldview as you. There's just it's hard to even put your finger on it sometimes, but there's just a chemistry. You celebrate people's wins. You pay tribute to what's going on in their life. And there's just this energy. You know, I got to say this now. I do want your comments. I know I'm rambling, but just like we're telling advisors all the time, don't negotiate your value. That's not the way to start a relationship. If somebody asks you to sharpen your pencil to get someone's business and you do that, you're transactionally focusing on the win at the expense of the lifetime value of the relationship. But that goes both ways. Like I'm telling my friends all the time, like, don't try to whittle somebody down. Like, some people think of it like a blood sport. Okay. I want to get this for the lowest possible price. And that transcends even like tipping, gratuities. Like, if I get great service, I go over the top because I want to celebrate that. And I know some people, they've got deep pockets and short arms. And they don't pay tribute to that. And I think they have a misguided notion of what karma really is. So bottom line is, and I want your feedback, is referability is built on being dependable, being predictable, and being admirable, and then positioning it as a service. And as a friend of mine says, the fish jump in the boat. I know you guys are very referable. So Seth, feel free to comment and add to that.
Yeah, no, I think that's fantastic. And I think that, I think that a lot of, at least a lot of the advisors that I've gotten to see, in my older years, of financial advising is that, most advisors, a lot of advisors that we see, the ones that, really want to be the best in their area, they are likable. Right. They are likable people and, all of that stuff. But how's your reach? how's your reach? Who can you reach? Right? Like, you know, so when you look at my local area, again, like to reiterate what we said earlier is that if the only time you touch them and they get a flavor for who you are is in your annual meeting and then the subsequent phone calls that you make, it's not enough. It's just not enough. You know?
Yeah, let me add to that. So, you know, we're talking about referability, right? And referability is the walk before you run. So if you're not referable, you can have the greatest process to drive referrals. And Duncan, that's with Pareto systems, you guys teach that as well as everyone, is having a process to drive referrals. And without getting too far into your secret sauce, there's things like the sounding board and different strategies you can use to do that. But before you can develop the strategy to ask or to drive the referrals, you need to walk first, which is making yourself referable. And that's, you know, that's what we're talking about now, is start there. Because if you make yourself referable, you don't even necessarily have to have a sophisticated system for people to refer you. It will start happening organically. So this is really step one in this conversation.
Nice.
But again, I've met over the years so many very honorable, professional teams who are so referable. And yet the quality and quantity of introductions they're seeing is underwhelming. And they are, to your point, Seth, their own best kept secret. And it's because they're so understated, they're so low key, they just don't go there. They just don't even feel compelled to bring up the topic of an introduction. And that's where the conversion happens. Converting referability into actual referrals is communicating it in a forthright, professional manner, and understanding that the value of what you say to somebody begins at the end of the conversation. The law of resonance speaks to the enduring impact of your communication. So let's just say, Alex, you're my client and I'm your financial advisor, and you and I are having a conversation over Zoom. And it leads to you talking about a friend of yours who's going through something right now. And it just becomes a bit of a focal point in the conversation. I could leave it there and just empathize, whatever the case may be. Or I could just say, hey, Alex, before I let you go, I just want to remind you that one of the reasons why I became a financial advisor is to help people tune out the noise, focus on what matters, focus on what they can control, and look to the future with anticipation instead of apprehension. And, just remember, like, if you're ever talking to somebody who's a little overwhelmed, a little uncertain, part of our process is I'll make myself available to be a sounding board. And they don't need to become a client to take advantage of this. If they're important to you, they're important to me. I just want to remind you of that, because that's probably the most fulfilling thing I do as a financial professional, is just seeing the weight of uncertainty melt away when I have a conversation. So I just wanted to remind you of that. Now, guys, think about that. Did I just ask you for a referral, or did I speak to my purpose, why I became a professional, what it means to me in terms of my fulfillment, and did I position it or did I pitch it? Now, I'm not going to claim miracles will come out of that little sort of collection of words, but I bet you if you were my client and we ended this conversation, that positioning would linger longer than me saying, hey, Alex, I'm always looking for new clients. If you feel compelled, send your friend my way or have them call me. It just lands differently. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's what Pareto does. Honestly, speaking from a graduate of Pareto, Pareto takes that entire concept and professionalizes that, so that I am among the people that don't like asking for referrals, right? But I don't ask for referrals anymore. I do it the way Duncan said it.
I want to mention, Duncan, and this is something we had talked about in the past, but leads this conversation is, the difference between, and this is start to finish with a client, is creating a transactional relationship versus a bi-directional relationship, and how if you create that relationship more of the latter from the start, it makes these conversations a little bit easier. What are your thoughts on those different types of relationships?
Well, and again, the ideal fit with the ideal client, and you guys personify this. Like, you know who you're suited for. It's not about who you're looking for. You know who's a good fit. And ultimately, a good fit is somebody who has needs that align with your expertise now and in the future. They have goals. They share their goals and their aspirations around what financial independence means to them. And they have values that are in sync, which means they don't micromanage. They respect you. They focus on what you're worth, not what you cost. You know, they return emails. They return phone calls. They show up to meetings. They just value you. That is the ideal client. And that's such an important element of a long-term directional relationship. And directional, you know, supersedes the client. I mean, you guys have second and third generation clients. I mean, who else in business can say that? Transactional is just getting the deal, right? I eat what I kill and all that other stuff. And I mean, that moves the needle short term, but it comes at the expense of loyalty, empowerment, and advocacy. So I think when you focus on who you're suited for, who your ideal client is, you delay some gratification and take the long view. Like, you're a fiduciary and then some. And, you know, back to the point about the messaging, like, you know, Seth, you're a great messenger. Your clients like the way you articulate value. You took that as a foundation, as a messenger, and added in some refined messaging. And now it's landing at a whole different level with your clients. And they feel compelled. Like, literally, I know you've got clients that feel they're doing a friend a disservice by not introducing them to you because of the way you've positioned all of that. So, long-winded answer there, Alex, but that's one of the reasons why I love this industry so much, is the enlightened professional focuses on where this is going, not just where they are today.
I wanted something you had mentioned to me the other day, which I found intriguing, which I want to dive a little bit more into in this conversation about referability and kind of where that goes and how that creeps into different elements and aspects of your life, maybe even just outside of, you know, your professional life. And you had mentioned the term KPIs for life to me, which was intriguing. So KPIs, we typically think about them in essence of business, key performance indicators, but we're going to talk about specifically KPIs for life. So I want you to kind of give me some examples of what that is and what that means and how it can help you from maybe plateauing your referability a bit.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. And, you know, we all study demography, and just where this is all going, in terms of, like, I'm in my late 50s. And I read a while back that 200 years ago, the average lifespan was 40. So I'm thinking, wow, okay, I'm on the back nine, but this is bonus time. I don't want to take that for granted. So, you know, a big part of this book, you talk about KPIs. The reason why the Q is squared, KPIs are generally quantitative. But I've come to realize in my own life, a lot of them are also qualitative. You know, we all know the old saying, if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. Okay, but you think about this. I mean, the best way to take care of your team, the best way to take care of your family, the best way to take care of your clients is to take impeccable care of yourself. You cannot pour from an empty cup. So a lot of my conversations with my long-term clients don't always revolve around referrals and enterprise value and scalability. A lot of it has to do with just their own personal development. You know, so one element of that is I'm telling my clients all the time, like, make yourself obsolete, depersonalize so the business can run like a Swiss watch without you having to be present. That's gone to the point where now I'm saying to my clients, 18 months, I want you to take a 6-month sabbatical. Go to the south of France. Learn how to speak French and drink great French wine and learn how to play the guitar. You told me 5 years ago you got a guitar sitting in your office and you never pick it up. Okay, so 18 months, you're going to take an 6-month sabbatical. Okay, these are such powerful conversations. But here's the thing, like, you know how we always say a good financial advisor would never ask a client to do something they wouldn't do themselves.
Yeah.
Okay, so my point is, the qualitative KPIs, I'm paying close attention to my own life, and I'm making sort of, this is almost like I'm trying to be the lab. Okay, so here's some of the things that we're talking about. Fight the fade, fight the fog, and fight fatigue. Okay, so I'm at a stage in my life where I'm just trying to keep up with the decline. It's not even about progress anymore. I just don't want to slide further around like the fade. What is the fade? Okay, my strength is fading. Like a KPI, I want to be able to stand up from a chair and not push off the arms. So I'm mindful of that. And that requires a core. You need core strength. I want to be able to stand on one foot and put on a sock. If I can't do that, that's a KPI in my view. So, that's something I'm focused on. Fight the fog. Why is it some days I've got, like everything comes easier, and some days it's like I'm in a trance, like I'm studying detoxing the body. Like there's all kinds of stuff in water and food and in the air. It's just not, but it doesn't belong here. So I'm trying to purge that. Parasites like turmeric, cayenne pepper, like ginger, like just, and okay. You think about fight and flight. This is a huge study. Like you get to a point of success if you're mindful of plateau avoidance. Okay, you get successful, things get comfortable. Well, you've got to create some discomfort in your life. Like this morning, did I want to finish my shower on full on cold? No, I didn't. But you know what? That discomfort, it jolts me. It's better than a Red Bull. Like I am wide awake, full alert. It's unbelievable. Now, it's easier not to do that, but the benefits are there. And I'll tell you something, you will never appreciate a warm shower more than having a cold shower. So you need the dark to appreciate the light. You need the cold to appreciate the warm. Comfort and discomfort. You need to jolt yourself. That impacts the fog. So the fog, the fade, and then fatigue. More discomfort. Like, I'm trying to, really emphasize my rituals around exercise and not try to sort of fit it in, but actually schedule it. And the more energy we expend, it's counterintuitive, but the more energy we expend, it's like a factory that's creating backfilling for reserve. So, these are just some of the things that I'm talking to my clients about. But every time I talk to a client about this, I'm listening and trying to be a reflection of this. And some of those are qualitative, but they're meaningful. And I think I can take better care of my family and my team and my clients if I'm coming at it from a point of credibility myself. So anyway, another long-winded answer for you there, but I'd love to hear your comments on that.
So what I would say is, the key point that I want people to remember from this conversation is you need to live the best version of your life as an advisor, because if you're marketing yourself well and you need your potential clients and current clients to see you living the life that you're selling to them, right? Live the best version of it. You can afford to buy that second home. You can afford that trip, or you can retire. Like they need to see you doing what is your version of your best life. And it's not necessarily going to be the same as every one of your clients. And, Seth and I, we talk about this all the time, is you need to exemplify to them what your process is, what your formula is to live your best life.
Yeah, for sure. And that was, I think it was the first chapter in Pareto, the advisor playbook, or one of the early chapters was your ideal calendar and your ideal life. It was the first step in the whole process, is identifying what your ideal life looks like. and then matching along with that. And then, the graduated version of that is that, people, you're much more referable if people like you and they feel like you're one of them. And, as you identify your ideal client, which is later on in Pareto's teachings, when you identify your ideal client, a lot of the times they kind of align with you, personally, as well. A lot of the times, I work a lot with ambitious pharmaceutical executives that are really ambitious in their personal life as well as their professional life. So you see them traveling a lot, you see them taking care of themselves, you see them hiking and biking and doing all that stuff. If I'm sitting on the couch eating ho-hos in McDonald's, right? You know what I mean? I doubt it sounds ridiculous, but maybe I'm not as referable as the same financial advisor that's getting it like they are,
Very, very true. There's a credibility component that comes from walking the talk. And we all know one of the 7 habits from Stephen Covey is begin with the end in mind. Well, just taking care of ourselves, and people are watching and they're paying attention. Like our kids watch more than they listen. And you need to have that credibility that says that I'm walking the talk. And it's interesting. I talked about the law of resonance earlier. I had a mentor. I don't know if you're familiar with Jim Rohn. I can barely go a day without hearing him in my subconscious. And one of the things he said, and I speak about it in this book, is don't just focus on what you're getting and how much you're earning. Focus on who you're becoming. The number one question is not how much am I making here? It's who am I becoming here? And all of what our decisions have, especially our habits, how they compound and what they reveal over time. And that's like a true north to me that governs me. And if I start to drift, in life to the drive-through, it comes into my head and just mid-course correction back on track. So, I don't pretend to have any or all of the answers, but you're right. I mean, the best version of yourself, Alex, you got to live it because people are paying attention to it.
Seth, Duncan, I really appreciate this conversation. I hope those that are listening, are kind of understanding the element of being referable and why that's important and how that will drive the process of referrals. For people listening, next steps, go to Pareto Systems, check them out, learn a little bit more on their website. While you're there, I would highly recommend you check out both the advisor playbook and the Blue Square method. It will really dive more into this process that we're talking about. And there's a couple of chapters in there just on understanding your referability and how to set up a process to do so. Definitely follow Duncan MacPherson on social media, LinkedIn for sure. Seth Diener on LinkedIn as well. And if you're listening, please subscribe to this show on YouTube, as well as your favorite place to listen to podcasts. Seth, Duncan, again, I appreciate you joining us today.
Thank you, Alex.
My pleasure. And everybody, Alex and Seth are both essential follows on LinkedIn as well. They are posting some absolute gold panoramically. So make sure you track them down as well. Thank you.